Over the last 3 decades, the GP Masters have travelled the globe in their continual pursuit of success. Drive, determination, ambition and basic raw talent have seen them collectively accrue 60 Grand Prix victories and compete in almost 1,700 races. Their journey isn't over yet. Today, the past and the future come together at the state-of-the-art Losail International Circuit in the Arabian Gulf. Nigel Mansell knows a thing or two about winning, and if qualifying is anything to go by, the 1992 F1 World Champion has lost none of that competitive spirit we've become so accustomed to.
The qualifying session fraught with excitement, and at one time I was 12th, but I'm glad I managed to get back up.
Welcome to the first venue in the GP Masters Series calendar and to Qatar. After a day or two of familiarisation with car and track, it all comes down to this: race day. So the stage is set. Our cast, a who's who of Formula One. 15 drivers, all with experience at the very highest level of motorsport, will today go head-to-head in identical cars. This really is a stern test of driver ability and the ultimate test in staying power. What's more, it's a first for Qatar too. Never before has a four-wheel motor race taken place here. So plenty of drama in store, no doubt. Here to enjoy it with me, F1 expert Tony Jardine. Tony, just how big an achievement is it to reunite these drivers on a racetrack once more?
I think it's massive, because you could do it in the Masters with tennis and golf. They've just got to pick up a racket. You've got to persuade these gentlemen who are 45 plus and in their 50s and nearly 60s in the case of Fittipaldi, get back into a dangerous racing car. Once they did that in South Africa last year, they're hooked, of course.
Let's just take a look at what does make a driver eligible for this competition. They have to have retired from all forms of open-wheel racing, to have competed in F1 for 2 complete seasons, passed a medical, be more than 45 years old, as Tony was saying, to have been retired from F1 for at least 2 complete seasons. Some, of course, Tony, will be renewing old rivalries out there, but for some other drivers, it's a real chance to pit their wits against past legends, isn't it?
People like Eric van der Poel, the Belgian, he was only briefly in Formula One in 91 with Lamborghini. People like Pierluigi Martini, who was always running round at the back, bless him, in the Minardi freights. It's a chance for them to be with the legends. Let's be honest, they're more than masters. Fittipaldi and Mansell are absolute legends, so for them, they're with their heroes.
F1 is a pretty serious business. This too is also a competition, but is it a chance for those professionals to let their hair down a little bit?
It is a little bit, because they're not worried about the new young chargers coming to Formula One, diving down the inside, ruining their reputation and wrecking their Grand Prix car and maybe putting them off into the barriers. But it is about competition. They do want to win. They're extremely competitive people, as we've seen already with the likes of Mansell and, of course, Patrese.
Let's take a look at where this competition is heading, because this weekend, of course, it's in Qatar, but here is where it's also going to be. In Monza in June, Silverstone, the home of motorsport, in August. In October, it'll visit Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia, and in November, it goes back to Kyalami in South Africa. Nigel Mansell has been speaking about this circuit. He says it's the hardest he's ever driven. What do you make of that, Tony?
Well, a lot of the circuits he's driven are very, very hard indeed, but he's compared part of it to Monte Carlo. There is a tight, twisty section where you're always on the wheel and changing gear. The G-force is going between 3 and 4, and I think perhaps the old boys are feeling it a little bit. Even though they've been training, it is quite a strain, and especially in this heat.
Mansell on pole. Let's see who qualified where, because this is how they're going to line up on the grid today. A rolling start, of course, but here's how it'll work. Nigel Mansell, the 1992 world champion, on pole. Former F3000 champion Christian Danner lines up next to him. It's Derek Warwick just behind him, who lines up in third. Riccardo Patrese and Pierluigi Martini in fourth and fifth, respectively. The Brazilian Emerson Fittipaldi in sixth spot. Andrea de Cesaris starts in ninth. A whole host of others in that chasing pack. And the Frenchman at the back of the grid, René Arnoux and Patrick Tambay. So it is Nigel Mansell on pole, and presumably he's the man to beat.
He is absolutely the man to beat, and he came from behind. He went through a red flag situation and then increased his speed even more. He's ultra competitive, and whenever Nigel Mansell is on the track, he sets it alight. I mean, it's going to be alight itself with the temperatures they've got there now. But I'm amazed by how skillful and competitive these guys are, especially in these sort of very, very powerful cars. They've got to reacquaint themselves. Some of them haven't driven since South Africa last year, but they've all been training like mad. So I think it's a real test for them today. But don't think that it's not going to be competitive. Don't think that they're not going to go there and race. As you said before, reputations are really at stake here, and Warwick would love to do one on Mansell.
Top 11 drivers all covered by 1.7 seconds. You've mentioned that it's going to be competitive. It really is, isn't it?
It is, and for people like Christian Danner to be up there amongst them, and Pierluigi Martini, who's one of my dark horses of today as well, is exceptionally good. And that's much more important, because as the racing folk who are watching know, there's a very small window in which to adjust these cars on things like ride heights and wing angles and so on. So it's very, very fine tuning that's getting there. And there's a lot more sand on the track than we think, and all the little grains are getting into the cracks in the tarmac, and the hot tyres are picking them up, and if the wind blows, that causes even more problems.
OK, Tony, we'll get more of your thoughts later and throughout the course of the programme. As we have said, and as Tony mentioned there, the cars in the GP Masters Series are identical. Teams can only make minor adjustments to the existing setup. Success or failure is ultimately in the hands of those at the wheel. So, who better to guide you through the Delta Motorsport designed car than the drivers themselves?
It's a good strong engine. It's got about 650 horsepower, and from years ago, similar to Formula 1 engines, it's probably only currently 150 to 200 horsepower down on a Formula 1 car. It's a very strong engine.
The brakes are not carbon fiber, they are metal. They are much more sensitive to brake. They don't stop as quick as carbon fiber. And the driver has to judge the pressure on the pedal to make a good, efficient braking. It's very difficult.
It's the first time I drive with the pedal shift, and it's fantastic. You have always your hand on the steering wheel, and you stay flat, and you change with your right hand. You go down with your left hand, and it's very more comfortable when I use the gear like that with my hand, right hand.
I can tell you, compared to my old days in Formula 1, this is a different story. I never had so much down and G-force on my body as I have it here in these cars. Imagine on a corner speed of 200 kilometers, feeling the 4 times your own body weight. I tell you, kind of an experience.
It weighs 612 kilos, which is only a little bit more heavy than a Formula 1 car, as a matter of fact, and makes it for a very fast-reacting and quite nervous race car. But it's exciting for a driver, of course.
You're watching live pictures of the Losail International Circuit in Qatar, and the drivers just getting set for today's race day. Tony Jardine with me in the studio. We've been talking, Tony, about the track temperature out there. 60 degrees Celsius. How demanding is that for a driver age 45 plus?
It's very, very demanding indeed. But some of them will remember situations they've been in Rio, where the Brazilian Grand Prix used to take place, and particularly Nigel Mansell. Even though you're looking at Derek Warwick there, he will remember it as well. When we went to Dallas in 1984, Nigel Mansell collapsed, pushing his car across the line. Even the winner of that race, Keke Rosberg, put on a special inner helmet with cooling tubes in it. That's how hot it was. So I hope they've got drink bottles in their car. I hope they've taken on plenty of liquid. These boys know what they're doing. So the old boys know what they're doing, and they know what they're taking on. And there's Mr. Mansell and Mr. Warwick.
Those two certainly looking to go head-to-head today, line up in first and third. Let's join our commentary team of Alan Jones and Murray Walker for qualifying highlights.
This 3.4-mile circuit. Christian Danner was second fastest in spite of this exuberant oversteering slide, and that's one of the great things about these cars. They're on slick cars, they look like real racing cars. They're very, very quick indeed, and Danner, as I said earlier on, was driving out of his skin. A superb performance. This is how it looked to Derek Warwick, third on the grid. Notice the style, hits the apex at exactly the right point. very, very big run-off areas at this Losail circuit. It was originally designed for use by motorcycles, and that's Riccardo Patrese losing, he believes, a place on the front row of the grid with that spin. He'd done the 2 fastest sectors of the whole afternoon yesterday in qualifying until he arrived at this point and spun out of the race, out of the qualifying. René Arnoux did exactly the same thing. The veteran Frenchman, Arnoux, who used to drive for Renault, Martini and other Grand Prix Formula One teams, is back here in the Grand Prix Masters, 57 years old. And Nigel Mansell, look at the heat, he's got a big ice pack on his back there, just to keep things a bit cooler. That's his daughter Chloe in the background. And Nigel has lost none of his competitive spirit. So look at that straight at the left-hand side of your picture. It is 1,000 metres, over 1,000 metres long. As you look at the grid now, row 1, Mansell and Dana, row 2, Warwick and Patrese, row 3, Martini, he's new to the Grand Prix Masters, and double world champion Emerson Fittipaldi. Then there's American Eddie Cheever and the Swedish driver Stefan Johansson. Ahead of Italy's Andrea de Cesaris and Austria's Hans-Joachim Stuck, son of the great Hans Stuck. From Belgium, Eric van der Poele, who has been in terrific form here. Now, you saw it's about 10 miles outside Doha, the circuit. It's desert all around. The designer of the circuit, a very young man, was given a brief to produce an absolutely magnificent track, and he's done exactly that. And now down on the track again, Amanda is with, I think, Christian Dana. Yes, it is.
Yes, I'm standing here with Christian, standing under the very well-deserved shade. Christian, you're in with some very salubrious other drivers up here. How do you feel starting on the front row of the grid?
Well, I mean, I know them quite well for rather a lot of years, but it's only that I didn't get anywhere near Nigel when we were in Formula One together, so now I am. It's quite pleasing, and you know, I talked to him before the race, and he's quite cool actually, and so am I. So it's going to be all right.
Did you expect to be this far up?
Yes, because in Calami I was doing reasonably well in qualifying until I ran into trouble. So yeah, I was kind of expecting it, and you know, it's so much easier up the front, I have to tell you.
Have a good time, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Graham Hill always used to say you meet nicer type of person at the back of the grid. That was in his waning years, and I don't think Christian Dana did for one moment think that he was going to be up there on the front row of the grid with Nigel Mansell, but he drove an absolutely superb lap to get here. There's a lot of members of the Qatari royal family here today. They give them terrific support, not just money support. This circuit cost £35 million to build, and £35 million goes a lot further here in Qatar than it goes almost anywhere else.
Thank you. Good to see you.
So Nigel Mansell still got the pack back in his position, and what about Emerson Fittipaldi? Well, Alan Jones.
Yes, Murray, I'm down here with Emerson at the moment. He's just taking the helmet off. He was one of the last people to get out of the car, so he's obviously not too worried about the heat. Emerson, nearly 40 degrees ambient, nearly 60 degrees track temperature. You've only done that one lap, but how did it feel?
Oh, feel incredible hot inside the cockpit. You can feel the asphalt, the heat comes from the asphalt. The air on the car is too hot. The cockpit, I don't know what temperature, but it'll be incredible, Alan. It'll be a tough race.
And you think the tyres are going to last?
I think it'll be tough for the tires, tough for the drivers. You know, it's only 40 minutes, but it'll be long 40 minutes today.
Okay,
sure.
We know there's a lot of people in Brazil watching you, Emerson. How about a few words for them?
Abraço a todo mundo no Brasil. Obrigado pela torcida. Ciao.
Thanks very much.
Well, I'm joined down here with Nigel. Nigel, you've had 187 starts. Does it ever get any easier when you're starting on pole?
No, it doesn't, and all the pressure's here today because, wow, I mean, 58 degrees track temperature is a record ever in the history of any auto race. We had 62 degrees yesterday, and I think it's about 66, 68 today. It's going to be a hot one.
Do you still feel the pressure, though?
Yeah, of course you do. I mean, the stomach's going now. We've had to pre-hydrate so much. We've drunk litres and litres today that we can only go about 8 minutes without having to go to the bathroom. So I'm just hoping to hang on until we'll start now.
Who are you going to be looking for?
I think everyone. Christian's done a fabulous job, so has Derek, and Riccardo. Emerson, from struggling with the car, they reset it. He did a fabulous job to get up here in the top 3 rows, and the race, anything can happen because the track temp is so severe. The tyres, there's going to be degradation. It's going to be very hard for the drivers, so it's very dusty as well, a little bit sandy, so you're going to have everything in this race, you really are.
Good luck, thanks Nigel.
Thank you.
And you can see the foil there on the engine cover of Nigel's car. That's just to try and reflect some of the heat and keep the temperature down a bit. This is going to be a rolling start, incidentally, this race. It's not going to be a standing start as it is in Formula One. The pace car will go out, it will do a full lap, and then it'll do another lap, and it'll come into the pit lane at the bottom right-hand corner of your map there and peel off the circuit. Then the drivers will accelerate up towards that checkered flag that's on your graphic, and the race will be time to start. And talking of that, what's it like from the driver's point of view? Let's hear from Derek Warwick.
Well, Derek...
This is Derek Warwick. This is my qualifying lap at Qatar. Flat in 6th gear. You can see I'm on the limiter doing over 300 kilometers an hour. Down to 3rd gear, you try and pinch it in, roll the throttle gently, onto the throttle again. You can see a lot of oversteer on the exit. Turn in, staying in 3rd gear, trying to drag the inside corner. You see the limiter lights come on again, 4th, 5th here. Settle the car down into 3rd gear. Turn in, double apex, let the car drift out to the outside. Little bit of oversteer. Again, you see the steering wheel working very hard. Down into 2nd gear. Again, very difficult corner. You're going to see a lot of guys go too far in that corner. Up into 4th gear, down into 3rd. Difficult corner, a little bit of oversteer on exit. You clip a little bit of curb on the left-hand side. There's a bit of a bump. The car goes very light. And then you hold it down into 2nd gear. Very difficult corner. You drift right to the outside. You need maximum speed for here. It's a long straight. You get up into 5th gear, leading into the fastest section of the circuit. 4th gear, turn in a little bit early, back onto the throttle. You see the car snapping away all the way through. Stay on 4th gear. There's 3 corners here, flat out. Very hard on the neck, very hard physically. Hold 4th gear into the second to last left-hander. Onto the curb. You can see just taking a bit of too much curb there. Down into 3rd, little bit late entry, try and take the apex there, get onto the throttle as early as possible. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th gear, and that put me 3rd place on the grid.
A 113-mile-an-hour lap of Losail with Derek Warwick, who is with Amanda.
Yes, now slightly inappropriate, we're talking over the national anthem, but Derek, very quickly, you had a problem in warm-up, didn't you, with your drinks bottle? Just tell us very quickly about that.
Well, I put a drinks bottle into the car. Unfortunately, under acceleration and G-loading, it came into the helmet, so I kept on swallowing gallons of water, so it was impossible to do it. So I've tried another system, which I'm hoping going to work in the race.
Now, P3, you happy with that? I know you felt you were struggling the first couple of days you were here.
Yeah, I was struggling the first 2 days. We changed the setup for qualifying day, and it worked. I'm not happy, I'm satisfied. That's where I want to be. But I suppose at the end of the day, it's where we are today that counts. So let's hope that we can put a good race together.
Good luck, thank you.
Thank you.
And the strains of the Qatari national anthem die away, and the drivers are sweltering on the track, waiting to get in the cars. They will actually cool down a bit in the cars while the race is on, because they're at least going to have some breeze, and they're going to need every mile an hour of it that they can get. Andrea de Cesaris contemplating the meaning of life as he sits down there, and the big crowd up in the grandstand there looking forward to seeing this 24-lap race as we look at Pierluigi Martini's car, the Silver Delta car, which started life originally as a Reynard design for kart racing in America, and has got a different engine, different suspension, different gearbox, all sorts of different aspects of the car, and it's made it a very different vehicle altogether. And that's Hans Stuck. He's 6'4", but he still manages to tuck himself away, and he drove an absolute cracker of a race in South Africa, because he's been used to driving sports cars and touring cars primarily for BMW, and he finished 6th in South Africa. But let's hear now from American Eddie Cheever.
Eddie, one of the great stories here this weekend is that after your performance at South Africa that you were slightly disappointed with, you felt you really needed to get into shape and do some more racing. So not only are you doing Grand Prix Masters, you're going to be doing some more races over in America. Tell us about that.
I will be racing at Indy, or attempting to qualify for Indy at the end of May. Which is, I have a little bit of unfinished business there, so we'll see. But this is a race to itself. Racing the GP Masters is very exciting, because you get to revisit a lot of the issues of drivers that you visited 20 years ago, maybe with different cars or a little bit older and whatnot, but the character is still there, the anger is still there, and I can assure you the first corner will be fraught with people diving and ducking, and hopefully I'll make it through it.
And what is your most pressing issue?
Right now, to get through the first corner, then the second corner, then the third corner. We'll see.
And what are your expectations in the race?
I can't tell you that. That's a private matter.
Thank you. Good luck.
Eddie Cheever is a lovely bloke, and I don't know why he says he's got unfinished business at Indy. He's already won the wealthiest race in the world, and that's Eric van der Poel's car, the Belgian driver. That's him on the left. Bit of a surprise, actually, because he's 45 years old. He's only just made it. Derek Warwick said yesterday it's not many events that you actually want to be older in order to get into, and this is the Grand Prix Masters, and the minimum age there is 45, and Eric has just made it. And back again to Amanda.
Yes, well, just getting into the car, I've just stopped him, is Stefan Johansson. Stefan, do you feel ready going into this race? Are you happy with the car and the setup?
Well, reasonably. It's a very knife-edge, the car all the time, but, I think they're all the same, so we've just got to do the best we can today, really.
Now, we are live in Scandinavia as well. Do you want to say something to those people back home?
I'll just big up hejaklacken, så vi ser det går. Gör så gott det kan idag.
Thank you.
Stefan speaks English so well. I've often wondered if he really is Swedish and speaks Swedish. Well, there's the answer. 8th on the grid, and incidentally had the most appalling luck at Kyalami, because he was a potential winner in South Africa. And he had a brake problem and went off at the very, very first corner. Went all that way to South Africa and didn't even fully compete in the race. So 8th position on the grid here, but he's got Eddie Cheever in front of him, Fittipaldi, Pierluigi Martini, Riccardo Patrese, Warwick, and then of course those two men on the front row of the grid, Christian Danner and Nigel Mansell. Now, 24 laps here is going to be an hour, provided there is no interruption, which brings out the safety car, in which case the procedure will be the same as it is in other motorsport events. The drivers will line up behind the safety car and wait for whatever the problem was to be removed. We've had a lot of grit on the track, incidentally, because if you run, you'll see a lot of green around the track. It's not actually grass. It's not AstroTurf. It's AstroGrass. It's much longer than usual. But if that gets dislodged, as you look at Eliseo Salazar from Chile, there are drivers from 10 different countries in this race, incidentally. But I was saying, if the AstroGrass gets dislodged, there's grit underneath it and it can get on the circuit, and you would not want one of these mini boulders being projected backwards from these slick shod wide rear wheels powered by 600 horsepower into your visor. So you have to stop and remove the obstruction, whatever it may be. We've had a bit of that during the preceding practice and qualifying sessions, but not too many of them, and you can see there what the problem is. You can't actually see.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, the race action live from the Losail International Circuit in Qatar. Welcome back. The first meeting in the series calendar in Qatar. It promises to be a fascinating race day. Before we head back to the commentary team, Tony Jardine, your thoughts on a rolling start?
Well, obviously that is an advantage for the IndyCar experienced people. I mean, Nigel Mansell, even Christian Danner, and of course Fittipaldi, who did Nigel Mansell famously in the Indy 500, an advantage to them, but a disadvantage to people like Derek Warwick, Riccardo Patrese, who are used to standing starts.
Let's see how it all pans out. We'll take you back to our commentary team of Alan Jones and Murray Walker once more.
Double world champion, the great Emerson Fittipaldi, who was not only world champion in 72 and 74, but has been the kart championship automobile racing team champion of America and winner of the fabled Indy 500 event. And here's the dark horse, possibly, Pierluigi Martini, who drove for the Minardi team for virtually the whole of his long Formula One career. He's now an ice cream manufacturer in Italy. He's been out of racing for some 5 years, but he won the Le Mans race for BMW in 1999. You've just seen Riccardo Patrese. You've heard a lot, and you've ridden round the circuit with Derek Warwick. Look at him now on the grid with 1 minute to the time when the pace car leaves for, I remind you, 2 pace car laps, at the end of which there is going to be a rolling start of this event. Christian Danner, a surprise but very welcome second place on the grid, representing Germany. Very distinctive livery. And then the world famous Red 5, the man who has won more Grand Prix than any other British driver.
Well, it gives me great pleasure now to introduce our host, the president of the QMMF, that is Nasser bin Khalifa Al Attiyah, to say some very immortal words.
Thanks a lot. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome everybody here and to start their engine. Please, gentlemen, start your engine.
The immortal words which precede the start of every Indy 500 event in America. Gentlemen, start your engines. And on the left is John Felix, who's come over from Britain to supervise some of the administrative sides of this event. And there is the information that we've been looking for. Track temperature 59 degrees, which unofficially makes it the hottest single-seater race of all time. And an ambient temperature of well over 30 degrees. It is hot, hot, hot in Qatar. Wait for the safety car to go around first the 3.4 mile circuit. And is Riccardo Patrese in trouble? Yes, I think he is. Riccardo Patrese, who is in 4th position on the grid, has got some sort of a problem. Maybe he wasn't able to start his car, but whatever. There it is, the distinctive Martini liveried car. That's the famous livery from the drinks company that has been on rally cars for so many years and graced Riccardo Patrese's Lancia in sports car racing, and is now on his Grand Prix Masters car. Well, this is something we most certainly did not want, because every extra second that they have to spend on the grid in these appallingly hot conditions is going to make conditions in the cockpit even worse. These cars have got on-board starters. They're not like Formula One cars where a mechanic will insert a starter at the back of the car and turn the engine over. The driver has the power, has the power to start the car himself. Well, that is certainly not the case for Riccardo Patrese. This is the sort of infuriating thing that happens right at the start of an event. These cars have had no problems at all in 3 practice sessions, in the qualifying session. But it's the old story. Get the computer out. Of course, nowadays the engine performance and so many other things are controlled by computer chips. And it's not enough to be a good driver in a good car with good tyres. You've got to have good backup. You've got to have good technicians. You've got to have good computer men. You've got to have good mechanics. And the mechanics who are here have been recruited from all sorts of places, because the Formula One season is very much on, and any Formula One mechanics who might have felt like taking holiday in order to come here and give a hand will not be able to do so. That was not the case at Kyalami at the end of the season, where we had all sorts of people that we're used to seeing in Formula One. And meantime, the agony continues, and not just agony. Riccardo Patrese, of course, has got all the emotional pressure of wanting to start the race and knowing that he's holding everything up. But everybody else has got the emotional and the physical problem of wanting to get on with this race and wanting to get some cooling air into the cockpit. Look at that surround round Dana's head. Cars are so much, thank heavens, safer than they were now. Not just because of the safety belts that the drivers wear, not just because of the helmets and because of the head and neck support. They all have this HANS device, H-A-N-S, head and neck support, which was introduced into Formula One and was pioneered by the great Professor Sid Watkins to stop heads going forwards when a car hits something. Their heads are literally tethered to the head and neck support, which is belted onto their shoulders, and it has already saved many lives. Derek Warwick, I've seen have some absolutely dreadful crashes. He was involved in that one at Monza where his Lotus overturned at the start of the race, and Derek bravely came out from underneath the car, ran back to the pits, and they're going to try a bump start for Riccardo Patrese. Or are they just desperately... I think Riccardo Patrese is being pushed. Yes, he is being pushed off the grid. They've given up trying to start him there, and he's going to have to start from the pit lane, and that is bitter gall for the outstandingly capable Riccardo Patrese. Yes, indeed. Riccardo Patrese is going to start from the pit lane. I'm saying it's bitter gall for him because he had qualified in 4th position. He had paced himself all through the three practice sessions and the qualifying session, and right at the end of the qualifying session, when he'd been sort of down towards the bottom of the listing, he suddenly shot up to 4th position, and that wasn't by chance. So the engine's fire up, except Riccardo Patrese's, into the garage. They're going to find out what the problem is there. And is he going to be able to start the race even from the pit lane as the others come past? We'll have to wait and see. Meantime, that gives an opportunity behind Riccardo Patrese to Emerson Fittipaldi, who is in the line behind him, because he's now going to have a clear space. There goes Fittipaldi through the picture now. He's now going to have a clear space as they lead away on the first of these 2 laps, which precede, I remind you again, the rolling start here at Losail. So 2 higher speed, we hope, familiarisation laps, as at the back of the grid René Arnoux, and that is Patrick Tambay, the Frenchman, bring up the rear of the field. The pace car is one of the fabulous Ascari production road cars, of which very few are made and which are incredibly expensive, but the most exotic and beautiful bits of machinery. So there's the grid unreeling before you. Eddie Cheever in 7th position. Andrea de Cesaris is 10th. Jan Lammers is in 13th position. Patrick Tambay is 15th and last as they exit the left-hander and lead on towards the part of the circuit which overlooks the Arabian Gulf. We're very, very close indeed to the sea here. Is that a problem in the wiring loom? Well, whatever, it is obviously electrical. And what bitter disappointment for Patrese. He's come all this way. It's a broken sensor. And this was a problem that people feared might happen. It's almost certainly a heat-associated problem. The cars are controlled by computers, and if the sensor goes, it can send the whole thing haywire, which is obviously what in 59-degree track temperature is happening. Humidity, as you'll see, is pretty low. It's not like Malaysia, where the moment you walk out of the door, you feel as though someone's thrown a bucket of boiling water over you. It's a dry heat here, and it's very welcome indeed. Pierluigi Martini following Derek Warwick, and the action is going to be everywhere around the circuit for the whole of the 24 laps, I am sure. But what's it going to be like at the first corner? Well, Alan Jones has joined me in the box, and who better to tell us?
Well, Murray, I can tell you one thing. I've just come up from the grid where I've been down there for the last 5 minutes, and it is hot. And I've got a bit of a dispute with that 31 degrees. I reckon it's closer to 37 degrees. But however, it is very, very hot. First corner, well, now you're going to see these guys where age gets thrown out of the window. That'll be the last thing on their mind. The racing driver will be in the forefront, and they'll be jockeying for position.
Now, this is the driver's eye view of that 1,000-metre straight, which exits turn 12 and leads into turn 1. There is the Ascari. Here is Mansell, followed by Dana, followed by Warwick, followed by not Patrese but Pierluigi Martini, who has now effectively moved up to 4th position on the grid, and that will help the little Italian.
It certainly will, Murray. The other thing to watch in this is it's a rolling start, and we have probably 4 or 5 champ car drivers that have competed a lot of races in America and are very used to rolling starts. So psychologically they might have an advantage over the Europeans that aren't so used to rolling starts.
Now we have liftoff. Great. Riccardo Patrese is ready to join the race. Engine cover on. Very big, very quick. So he won't be penalised as much as he would have been if they had to work on it very much longer. He is, in fact, going to be able to join the race from the pit lane when the last competitor, which is Patrick Tambay, has taken the start. Well, your distress is as great as mine. No, it isn't. Well, it doesn't sound at all happy.
No, it's running a little bit rough. It's incredible, Mary, how a car can run absolutely faultlessly for 2 days, and then right at the very beginning of the most important part of the weekend, the race, it decides to play up. And I think you were right what you said before. I think heat sink probably had a great deal to do with this.
Well, meantime, while Riccardo Patrese and his mechanics are desperately trying to get involved with the race, here are the 14 who are very much involved with the race, because they're on the second of the 2 pace laps. And when they come up to turn 12, the pace car, the Ascari, will exit the track, will enter the pit lane, and it's up to Nigel Mansell. Oh, great! Riccardo Patrese joins the race. He will stop at the line there, facing the red light, and when the last man, who I expect to be Patrick Tambay, passes the line, the light will go to green, and Riccardo Patrese will be able to start the race, and we are going to be able to enjoy watching him hopefully fight his way through the field towards the front, back towards the 4th position he should have started in.
Now, it looks like that's a bit confusing. They were stopping him, and now they've let him go, which they should have done a lot earlier than what they have, because the chances of him now, unless they give them an extra lap, the chances of him getting right up behind the other cars at the time of the start is going to be impossible.
Yeah, that's blown it. And it was my assumption that he was actually going to be starting from the pit lane. Anyway, there goes the pace car. Now, but when the lights go off, the Grand Prix Masters is... as they come down that long straight towards us for 24 laps. It is time to go! And Nigel Mansell is edging ahead, moves across into the first corner, moves ahead of Christian Dana. And Pierluigi Martini is up behind Derek Warwick in 4th position. And they're all tightly bunched around that turn 1. Up into turn 2, the left-hander, up into 3rd gear. You'll see a gantry going across the circuit here, which will give them some indication of where they are on the track as they come up to the long double right-hander, which is turn 4, bunched tightly together. with René Arnoux still ahead of Patrick Tambay at the back of the field. Now, who is leading? There's a bunch breaking away, and it's the four of them together. Pierluigi Martini and Paul Patrese. There's contact there. There's contact between Eliseo de Cesaris and Stefan Johansson, who had the same problem due to brakes, and Kyle Lamy. And now you look across to the Arabian Gulf with Nigel Mansell leading. Behind him it's Christian Danner, who started second on the grid. There is no change for the first three at the present moment because it's Derek Warwick there, but Martini is up into fourth place. And this is exactly what Nigel Mansell wanted. He wanted to be into that first corner first so that he could control the race on a circuit where it's so difficult to pass.
Yeah, I mean, aesthetically, the circuit looks fantastic on paper with these very free-flowing corners. Unfortunately, they look a lot better on paper than what they are to race on, because there's really only one line, as you mentioned before, Murray, and no modern open-wheeler racing car is sufficiently better than the other one to allow you to pass on the outside, like bikes, for instance. So it's very much follow the leader until they get to the straight.
As we ride with Derek Warwick looking ahead at the second place man Christian Danner, trying to get past him. Now this is giving Nigel Mansell an opportunity to break away a bit.
There's Warwick. Warwick's lining up. No.
But Danner sees him. Danner looks in his mirrors and sees the Delta car behind him, moves across, which he's perfectly entitled to do. He's perfectly entitled to take the racing line he wants to take. And look how closely they're bunched at the front. Mansell leading, Danner in second place, Derek Warwick in third position, Pierluigi Martini swarming all over his gearbox in fourth place. Then there is a bit of a gap behind, and Fittipaldi, Emerson Fittipaldi has come up from sixth position on the grid. He's got ahead thanks to Riccardo Patrese not joining the race until too late, and Fittipaldi is up into fifth position. Sixth is Cheever, seventh is Andrea de Cesaris, and in eighth place Stefan Johansson riding with Derek Warwick. Johansson has already got further here at Doha than he did at Kyalami. He'll be pleased for that, but it's Mansell. Now Nigel Mansell, with all his Grand Prix experience, 151 Grand Prix behind him, and a World Championship, and his American experience, is exactly where he wants to be. He wants to control this race from the front, and above all, they have got to look after their tyres.
They have to look after the tyres, and as the race progresses, those tyres will go off. The cars will get a little bit looser. They'll start sliding more, and in turn, they'll run a little bit wider on some of the corners. That could put some debris on the circuit from the outside, and that will in itself make the race very interesting. But certainly at this stage, Christian Danner keeping Nigel very, very honest.
Now they're lapping Alan a few seconds off the qualifying pace, obviously, because they're going as hard as they possibly can in qualifying. And Nigel Mansell darting about all over the circuit with Danner, Warwick, Martini. There's Fittipaldi. The gap between Fittipaldi, Cheever, de Cesaris and Johansson, the bunch behind the four up front, is still very close indeed. And look at the heat haze as John Felix overlooks them. They are now on their third lap out of 24 as we get this replay of the start, with Christian Danner trying to take the lead from Nigel Mansell, who will have none of it. Exerting his authority as pole position man. We're looking back from Mansell at the replay of the start now. He just moves across that little bit that's necessary to deny Christian Danner the lead, and the German has to fall back, followed by Derek Warwick, followed by Pierluigi Martini, and Andrea de Cesaris has moved up a couple of places, the Italian, from 9th on the grid to 7th position in the race. What's your reading so far, Alan?
Well, I think that was a pretty good move of Christian Danner then, because going down into that first corner, they were absolutely neck to neck. And he did the right thing and gave Nigel the room. I mean, that could have been a bit of a silly thing, but he did the right thing. It's a long way to go, and Nigel took advantage of that. So it was a good bit of driving from Christian Danner, I think.
And now the race is speeding up. We've gone from 154 down to 152. And the gap, as you can see, between second place man Christian Danner and Derek Warwick is extending. Look at those lights on the steering wheel. This is what they mean. As the revs go up, the lights build, and when they get to red, that is telling you should change up a gear. Something new to you.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to drive a couple of cars with those lights, and they do help. Most of them have green, orange and red, and you know that as soon as you see the orange, the red's going to be a split second later, and that is the ideal time to change gears, because that is when the engine is going to be producing the most amount of its torque and power, and that's when you change.
Well, it's this bunch of four at the front who are making the running, because the gap between Pierluigi Martini and the man you're looking at now, Emerson Fittipaldi, who is in 6th position, is some 2 seconds, which in terms of this kind of racing is a lot. But Emerson Fittipaldi is a wise old fox at single-seater racing. I think he's probably just watching things at this stage of the race to see how it develops, and he's got plenty of capacity inside him and the car, although he had to have an engine change yesterday to speed up. Fastest lap so far, Mansell started off with a 1:54.3. Then Jan Lammers, the Dutchman, did a 1:52.1. Eddie Cheever has done a 1:51.7. So things are speeding up. Eddie Cheever is in 5th position, trying to close the gap between himself and the silver car on the left of Pierluigi Martini. He's got the advantage of a comparatively clear track, which of course Martini, Warwick and Dana have not.
Correct, and this is turning out to be a really good race, Murray, because as these tyres start to wear a little bit, the cars will move around, and I can only hope that these 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 cars are going to be as close as what they are now when that happens, because that'll make a very interesting race.
This is a race, most definitely, and the famous Red 5 of Nigel Mansell on the front of the Delta car leads it, as he did so very often in the Williams. They emerge 12, turn 12 again, and Nigel really throwing the car about.
Oh, here's a go, look. This is really one of the only passing opportunities on the circuit, is to be able to come out of that corner onto the straight with slightly more revs than the guy in front of you, try and get a toe and then pull up under brakes.
I tell you what I think is happening. I talked to Christian Dana's engineers. And through goes Pierluigi Martini up into 3rd position, ahead of Derek Warwick. Oh, blocks him.
Who said these guys weren't serious about their racing?
They may be getting on a bit in terms of years, but the old competitive spirit never dies. Take that, says Martini. You have it back, says Derek Warwick. Now, Pierluigi Martini, as I said earlier on, could be the dark horse of this race. Speed for Derek Warwick. Past goes Emerson Fittipaldi. Past goes de Cesaris, Johansson, Stuck, Van der Poel. Derek Warwick spins the car back onto the circuit. He didn't lose the prop. He kept the engine running, but it looks to me as though he has gone from 3rd down to last in one fell swoop. Let's look at it again.
Yeah, the back just let go. Now, I think we're going to see more and more of this, obviously, as the race progresses. I think as the tyre, the heat builds up on the tyres and they start to wear a little bit, I think we're going to see a lot more of that.
And that's Rhonda Warwick, Eric's wife, and his daughter in the foreground. He's perfectly all right. Of course, he's back in the race, and if ever there was a never say die man, as we see a repeat of Derek's spin. And you can see the graphic at the top tells you that we've already completed 4 laps in this race. How time flies when you're enjoying yourself, and we certainly are. Derek Warwick is now right at the back of the field, and up into 3rd position goes Pierluigi Martini, swarming about all over the back of Christian Dana's car and looking to make a move. Now, I never finished what I was telling you about with Dana. I was talking to his mechanics before the race, and they told me that they'd put less rear wing on the car in the hope that the increased speed that they would get on the 1,000-metre straight due to the lower drag would enable Dana to slingshot past Nigel Mansell.
Oh, here we go. Is that Stuck or... Oh dear, he's not going to be able to get...
It's Hans Stuck off the track and undoubtedly out of the race. You can drive across the gravel track, but he's not going to do that.
Jan Lammers has taken quite a bit. Oh, yeah, he just looked like he understeered off there or something. Whether he had some contact with another car or not, I don't know. But Jan Lammers has taken quite a bit of rear wing off for that very same reason, Murray.
Well, it's a calculated risk, because whilst you've got less drag and downforce on the straight, you're also going to have the same on the corners, and maybe that's what happened to Hans Stuck. Anyway, he spun out of the race. We are on lap 6. Riccardo Patrese has only done 1 lap, so it looks as though his bolt has been shot, in which case we're down to 13 out of the 15 who started, assuming that Hans Stuck does not succeed in rejoining. But meantime, on lap 6, there is the order, and Martini is the man to watch. He's right up with Christian Danner. Christian Danner's got a problem now. The first problem is that he wants to be as close to Nigel Mansell as he possibly can so that he can pull out and pass him if he's able to. The second thing is that he wants to keep Pierluigi Martini behind him, and those things are not necessarily compatible. Well, 2 laps ago, Pierluigi Martini passed Derek Warwick. Here we are. Let's have a look at it again. We're with Derek Warwick now.
That was a good move. That was an excellent move.
Yeah, so I mean, he obviously had a heck of a lot more momentum, and Derek just ran a bit wide.
Just left the door open a little bit, and Pierluigi took advantage of it and slipped through on the inside, which great move.
Warwick or front tyres?
Well, I think Derek might have had a little bit more extra lock on the front than what he would have liked. He probably had a bit of understeer, and then all of a sudden it's gripped, and that's what let the back come out on him.
Well, look at the gaps. 0.7 between Mansell and Danner. 1.2 seconds between Danner and Martini. 1.8 seconds between Martini and Cheever, who is 4th. Then there's a bit of a gap to Andrea de Cesaris from Italy, who is in 5th position. And 5.6 seconds down is Emerson Fittipaldi. Hans Stuck on the right. On a motorbike, his race is run. The amiable, affable German with so much success behind him, with Porsche in particular, a double Le Mans winner, double World Sports Car champion, has come all this way only to retire so early in the race.
Interestingly enough, Murray, de Cesaris is the only man under 1 minute 50 at this stage, so he's found a bit of speed.
Well, Derek Warwick has done a lap in 1 minute 49.5.6, which is the fastest lap of the race so far, and you can see that things are closing up. Now, Mansell is easing away a bit. We're on lap 7 out of 24. Mansell is easing away just a bit, but look how in the 6th position car of Christian Fittipaldi, who's looking for a way past, has closed right up on Andrea de Cesaris ahead of him. The race order: Mansell leads, there is Danner running wide and flicking the car about to keep behind him Pierluigi Martini, who's doing the same thing to Eddie Cheever in the orange fronted car. Cheever is 4th, de Cesaris is 5th, we're back with Mansell. That is Andrea de Cesaris, irreverently known in his Formula 1 days as Andrea de Crasheris, on account of the fact that he must have written off more Formula 1 cars than most of the rest of them put together. But it didn't stop him from competing in 208. He's one of the most experienced Formula 1 drivers of all, though he spends most of his time now surfing. He did extremely well in South Africa, finished a stirring 4th. And Martini having a go, having a look round the outside of Danner.
He wants to be careful, because if he's too busy trying to go around there, see, that's exactly what I was saying, Murray. He was too busy concentrating on trying to pass Danner, and he forgot the guy behind him, who took full advantage of it.
Eddie Cheever saw his opportunity, grasped it with both hands, dived through. Now Cheever is...
See, he's too far out, he's out wide there, pays the consequences a little bit, runs out, gets a car on the dirt, loses his momentum, and Cheever's able to take advantage of it to slip through on the inside.
Thank you very much, I'll have some of that, says Eddie Cheever, and dives through and up to 4th position ahead of Andrea de Cesaris. Now, you heard Cheever earlier when he was talking to Amanda Stratton on the grid say that there was some unfinished business here as far as he was concerned. Does that unfinished... And now he's having a go at Christian Danner.
He's got him
and
too.
He's done it.
Whoops. Careful, careful.
Oh, great stuff. He pushes Christian Danner out wide. The German just almost loses the front of the car now. Eddie Cheever, if the unfinished business that he was talking about was beating Nigel Mansell, is in the position to do it. And Nigel Mansell will have seen in his rear mirrors that the colour and the helmet of and the car behind him are different. Here's a replay as Eddie Cheever battles it out on the corner with Christian Danner.
He was giving no quarter there. I tell you, he pushed Christian right out on the outside. Oh, they've had good contact too. And now Christian will think, okay, boy, if that's the way you want to go.
Such a nice bloke out of the car, too.
Gentleman Eddie.
Yeah, Gentleman Eddie, they call him. So now how are the lap times going? Well, they come down by 5 seconds. Mansell did it first of all, 1 minute 54.3. Derek Warwick's fastest lap, 1 minute 49.598. And Warwick is down in 10th position now, having been third for so long. And Cheever is right up with Nigel Mansell, excuse me. Well, this is not kid stuff. Grand Prix Masters, they are. You've got to be a bit of a superstar to keep a 600 horsepower slick-tired motor car on this very smooth track in these weather conditions today. But I'm saying to myself all the time, Alan, has Nigel Mansell got anything in reserve? There's no doubt about the fact that he's controlling the race, but if he's harried enough by Eddie Cheever, it could be very different.
Well, I mean, Eddie's certainly up there having a go, but I think, you know, Nigel has done that many Grand Prix, as you quite rightly pointed out, Murray. He'll know how to save the tyres. He'll know that he's got to keep in front, but do it at the slowest possible rate, so he looks after all the equipment.
Well, Derek Warwick has pulled the bung out. He's in 10th position. He's close. He's the fastest man on the track at the present moment. He's a couple of seconds behind Stefan Johansson in 8th position. But I was talking about these cars being identical in terms of performance, in terms of the setup that the driver wants, in terms of the tyres. And the proof of the pudding is in the watching, because look how close they are, and we are on lap. We've got 15 laps to go, including the one they're on. Oh, there goes Salazar. We've already seen Hans Stuck out of the race. We've seen Derek Warwick spin and rejoin. And Eliseo Salazar from Chile is out of the Grand Prix Masters at Doha. And what about Hans Stuck? Well, I think Amanda is with him.
Yes, Hans, so you look to be having a good time. Maybe not the best grid position, but what happened?
You know, one is always the bad boy. I tried to outbrake Stefan, and I was on the inside more or less. I mean, okay, if you never try, you never win anything. But it couldn't give me a little bit more room, maybe. But anyway, so we came together, and then my steering broke, so I couldn't steer anymore. The car was fine, didn't have anything, and then I had to go in the garden. It's a pity, because I would love to do it, to finish a race wherever. It's great practice, it's great fun to compete with all these superstars, and it's a great series.
And quickly for the German fans.
Ja, leider hat es nicht so ganz hingehauen. Hab versucht, Stefan Johansson am Ende der Geraden auszubremsen. War auch schon neben ihm, aber dann sind wir zusammengekommen. Ich hätte vielleicht ein bisschen mehr auflassen können, aber okay, man muss es probieren, sonst gewinnt man nichts. Und da ist das Lenkungsgetriebe gebrochen. Damit war Schluss. Schade, ich wäre gerne noch weitergefahren.
Thank you. Okay.
9 seconds cover the first 10 on the circuit. And there are, and René Arnoux is the 11th and last. Salazar is out of the race. Patrick Tambay is a lap down. Riccardo Patrese only did 1 lap, and Hans Stuck has retired. So on lap 10, we've got Nigel Mansell some 8/10 of a second ahead of Eddie Cheever, with Christian Danner in 3rd position, the man who was 2nd for so long. Now Cheever is undoubtedly pushing Nigel Mansell, who is undoubtedly controlling the race, because Nigel has responded. He's just gone half a second quicker round the lap. May not sound very much, and it isn't very much in absolute terms, but now Mansell's going to hope that it's enough to keep Eddie Cheever at bay. Has the American got anything in reserve? Only time will tell, and we've got plenty of that, because we've still got 13 laps to go at the end of this one. We're not even at half distance yet. Now Riccardo Patrese has rejoined the race. He's down in 13th position. but obviously he hasn't got a hope of doing anything in the race in terms of success. There he is, the great Italian. 6 Grand Prix victories behind him in his career, including one of the most exciting races I ever saw in my life, the 1982 Monaco Grand Prix, where there were 4 different leaders on the last lap. Mansell leads Cheever, leads Dana, leads de Cesaris in the green and white car. Pierluigi Martini then, who was running 3rd at one point in the silver car, down in 5th position, has been passed by Andrea de Cesaris. Now, Alan, you've done a lot of racing in very, very hot conditions, and probably not quite as hot as it is here now. Do you feel that they're conserving their energies for later in the race?
No, I really don't, Murray. I think they're just out there going for it, and it's quite funny, whether you've got a cold or you've got some sort of an ailment or it's very hot, when you're racing a car in close company like this, you're concentrating that hard that you really don't notice it until you come to a stop.
Adrenaline conquers all.
Absolutely.
And there's plenty of that pouring out of Eddie Cheever. We're riding Christian Fittipaldi. Emerson, keep on saying Christian, my apologies. Emerson Fittipaldi in 6th position, and the pace safety car is out. I don't know why. Maybe I do know why, I suspect. Eliseo Salazar walking away, and I've got little doubt that the safety car is out in order to enable Salazar's car to be retrieved from the circuit. There it is. Now, these drivers, we all know, are older than those in Formula One. That's what Grand Prix Masters is all about. And quite rightly, Bob Berridge, who has got so much to do with this race, is insisting that above all, safety is the #1 requirement here. Andrea de Cesaris has gained 5 places from 9th to 4th. Jan Lammers has also gained 5 places, up from 13th to 8th. Eric van der Poel is up to 7th from 11th. Riccardo Patrese just a reverse. He's gone down 9 places, but as Alan has rightly pointed out, the fact that the safety car is out will enable Riccardo Patrese to close up on the last competitor on the circuit, which is René Arnoux, and get past him very rapidly and start hopefully to make his way through the field. Derek Warwick similarly has gone backwards from 3rd to 10th.
I can't understand
That's
what all
a
that's
replay
about.
on Andrea de Cesaris. Is he? I can't see why he should be waving Martini through. Well, whatever, it's happened. And it shouldn't take long to get Salazar's car off the circuit. 11 laps to go, including the one that we are on. With, you can see, there's just a visual gap between the drivers now. Yeah, I think Andrea de Cesaris was 4th, and for some reason he's now 5th. It's a mystery to me, I have to be quite honest. Pierluigi Martini has gone past him. Maybe, here's a guess, Alan, maybe he wasn't waving through, he was gesturing furiously Italian fashion at Pierluigi Martini for passing him. How's that?
Well, on the other hand, he might be being super cunning and waving him past, and then after the race complained that he was passed under the safety car and getting disqualified.
They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that.
Oh, that's Salazar.
Yeah,
Maybe
they perhaps he'd he stalled it, and they've pulled him and got him started again. Your guess is as good as mine. You see, Nigel is backing everybody up now.
I don't know what all this business is about.
Here's a replay. Now,
side by
this is
side.
what it's all about. This is Martini. You could be right, Alan, actually. This could be a bit of fiendish gamesmanship.
Exactly.
Well, I think we saw Salazar. What we didn't see was the tow rope of the car that was attached to it. Alex Taffy in the Ascari leading Nigel Mansell in the Delta.
Oh, now
you see on the graphic there, Andrea de Cesaris is shown as 4th, which he is not. He is in 5th position on the circuit at the moment. What about heat? Was slowing down going to make the drivers even hotter?
Slightly. I mean, at the end of the day, if I was in that car now, what I would be doing is, instead of following the car in front directly behind it, I'd be pulling out just slightly, not enough to get onto the marbles, but just pulling out from behind the car directly in front of me to get some clean air into those radiators.
And so here's a resume then of what's happened. Riccardo Patrese in trouble at the start, as a result of which he had to go into the garage and start from the pit lane. Warwick spun out on lap 5, went from 4th down to 13th. Hans Stuck retired on lap 6 when he was in 8th position. Eddie Cheever has been driving an absolute cracker of a race because the American has moved up from 7th position to the 2nd place that he is in now. Eliseo Salazar has retired on lap 10. The safety car went out on lap 12. It is now lap 15. There are only 9 to go, including the one that they are on. And there is Riccardo Patrese, who is now right up with Patrick Tambay in the blue and white car, the Lexus sponsored car. Blue and white helmet, blue and white car. Patrick Tambay is the winner of 2 Grand Prix, both of them in enormously emotional circumstances for Ferrari, for whom he was a works driver. Seems a pity that they could look at poor old Salazar's head pulled right over to the side of the cockpit by the...
Unless the rope's probably
the tow rope.
keeping out of the way of the rope.
Whatever it is, I'm sure he's not very comfortable. So anyway, we're approaching turns 3 and 4 now, as you look at the enormous run-up of the Grand Prix Masters. And it's...
you watch Cheever. He's no stranger to a rolling start. He'll be right up Nigel's backside at the start of this.
Yeah, and Nigel will know that, of course, because Nigel is an ex-champ car champion himself. What a pity it is that the safety car has got to drag Salazar's car around the whole lap. They couldn't pull him off.
I was just thinking the same thing. You'd think they'd have some exits on several places around the circuit. So in this scenario, they could actually drag the car off into one of those.
Well, here they come. They're all coming up to lap him now, to lap Salazar's car that's being removed from the circuit. And they will all be now looking for an opportunity with the yellow flag waving to decide how they can position their car to get past the chap or the chaps who are in front of them, because they are all so close. At the present moment, there is just about 8.5 seconds covering everybody on the track. How much further as the recovery car... Oh, not much further.
It'll be on next lap.
Well, and then it's going to be a sprint race to the end, because at the end of the next race, at the end of the next lap, there are only going to be 9 to go. There in the background goes the recovery car, pulling Salazar's car off the circuit. It's now a great pity that the safety car can't peel off somewhere before. He's got to do another whole lap with everybody following him. So now let's just have a little forecast about what might happen. I guess, as you're absolutely right, Alan, that Eddie Cheever will try to jump past Nigel Mansell. Now then we've got this conundrum about who is 4th and who is 5th, because de Cesaris is still shown on our computer as in 4th position on the circuit, ahead of Pierluigi Martini. Anyway, there's going to be a right old hurly-burly when they come up to the first corner, as there is with all of them, because 9 seconds covers now 13 motor cars on this circuit. Nigel Mansell's got rolling start experience from American racing, so has Eddie Cheever, and most of all, so has Emerson Fittipaldi, who is in 6th position just behind Pierluigi Martini. And if Salazar has not ricked his neck, he will be very happy to get out of that car. He'll be very happy to get out of it anyway, I should think. Eliseo Salazar then, 51 years old, from Chile.
Well, see what's happened now is the pace car is zoomed off into the distance, and it's up to Nigel now to control the pace. Now, given Nigel's experience, he'll slow them right down, and only he knows when he's going to jump on that accelerator, which gives him a very slight advantage over everybody else.
Meantime,
he's gone.
Yeah, but
he can do that. I mean, at the end of the day, it just says you're not allowed to pass anybody while those red lights are on until they go green. So it's up to them to catch him now, not up to him to go slow. I can't believe that.
Racing a motor car is not just about twisting the steering wheel and operating the pedals, it's about using your loaf as well.
It's a moving game of chess, basically. It really is using your loaf and sussing it out.
There's Eddie Cheever metaphorically kicking himself inside the car, trying to make up ground on Nigel Mansell.
He's just had it over the lot of them.
Well, 10 out of 10 to Nigel Mansell. But Cheever is closing fast on him at the present moment.
I can't believe Eddie allowed him to do that. Look at that. I mean, the guy's got instantly about a 3 or 4 second lead.
And he's got Pierluigi Martini swarming all over him, going for that second position. Martini diving through. Christian Danner going through, taking wide. Eddie Cheever.
Oh, and
off.
So Pierluigi, no, it's De Cesaris has
De Cesaris has gone off and up into second place. Well, it's all action now. There is Danner. He's gone ahead of Eddie Cheever.
I'll tell you what, Murray, it looks like he might be stuck there too, and if that's the case, the pace car will be back out again.
Oh, no. Well, we're on lap 17 out of 24 now, and Andrea de Cesaris ruefully gets out of the motor car.
Well, I'll have to bring the pace car out because he's in a very dangerous position.
You've got to take off the steering wheel and then put it back on again so that the car... Oh, Andrea, put the steering wheel back. You've got to put it back so that they can recover it, and this is very bad news. Out goes the safety car yet again. We're probably... when the recovery car actually gets to De Cesaris, we're going to have the agony, I think, of another full lap at that very, very slow speed as Andrea contemplates what's happened. Incidentally, we had a bit of fun at the weigh-in. All the drivers are weighed in so that they can put his weight with the cars to decide how to balance them. And one driver who had better be nameless was caught with no less than 10 kilos of lead about his person.
Well, that could only be some of the smaller, lighter guys, which narrows it down to about 2.
I'm not making any statements at all, Alan, but except that Derek Warwick is now in 10th position. Alex Caffey is back in the safety car. Andrea de Cesaris walks across on the gravel trap, and you can see that Danner, maybe Christian Danner, will make a better fist of keeping up with Nigel Mansell on the restart than Eddie Cheever did.
I can't for the life of me imagine why Eddie allowed Nigel to get such a huge jump at the restart. So maybe second time around he won't be able to get them unawares like he did then.
It's on turn 1. And
I mean, even if they could just drag it to the inside of the track and start the thing.
I don't like to even contemplate the recovery car having to do a full slow lap once it's recovered De Cesaris' car from the gravel track, and it seems to be taking time about doing so, because the race would finish under the safety car, and that would be about the worst possible thing that could happen.
Tell you what, you wouldn't want to be upside down.
No. Well, this is a familiar sight for us and for them. Nigel Mansell still leading the race. Oh, hello, they're getting serious now. Bringing out the heavy brigade.
Yeah, but where's it come from? Doha.
Anybody seen a broken down motor car around here anywhere? He could go through the Armco to recover it with the greatest of ease. I don't know that he's actually. Oh yeah, they're going to lift it. He's got the lifting blades on the front. That's good thinking, actually. Rather than sending out the very slow recovery car to pull it round, they've sent out this, whatever it's called, lift truck, and he's going to shove those blades underneath the car, lift it, and off he goes.
Next thing, he won't be able to get through the gap with his car sideways.
You really are a cheerful bloke, Alan. Now, we've had 2 formation laps behind the safety car. We've had 4 laps from laps 12 to 15 behind the safety car. We've had another 2 already. That's 8 out of 24. And Andrea de Cesaris is explaining to the marshal how it was that he was nerfed off the circuit by the chap he thought was so friendly, Pierluigi Martini. Come on, lads. This isn't an exercise. This is the real thing. Get rid of it as quickly as you possibly can.
Oh, Murray, I've got to say, this is appalling.
Well, just for the record, the fastest lap that we have had in this race was that of Derek Warwick, 1 minute 49.598, which is about 2 seconds off the qualifying lap time, which gave Nigel Mansell pole position. 19 laps completed, 5 laps to go, including the one that they have just started. And hopefully when these cars have gone past that forklift, that's what I was trying to think of, forklift device. No, they're not. They're getting the lifting device in place. Warwick is back in 7th place, incidentally, in spite of the spin that he had, which took him to the rear of the field. He came up to 10th. He's fought his way past Fittipaldi, Arnoux, Stefan Johansson. He's got Jan Lammers in front of him now, and with a bit of luck and a fair wind, of which there is not very much here at this Losail circuit, they will lift that car, engage reverse gear, and get out of it with a dangling motor car at the front. And I'm mindful of the fact that at these slow speeds there is going to be very little air through the radiators, and that air is hot enough.
Well, that's why I said before, Murray, if it was me, I'd be pulling it out from the car in front of me and getting a full car width's length to the other side of the car that was in front of me, letting some cold air get into those radiators.
We are now going to discover the tensile strength of nylon webbing, Alan. If that webbing breaks, we're going to be in real trouble.
And you call me a pessimist.
Success, wheels off the ground. Come on, a bit more lift, chaps. Where are they on the circuit? No, okay. Off you go, Abdul. Watch those front wheels on the forklift and see them start to roll, and then it will hopefully be... I wonder if they're going to be able to get the safety car out and off the circuit in time to avoid doing yet another lap. I wonder if Christian Danner is going to be able to get past Nigel Mansell on the restart. I wonder if Eddie Cheever is going to be able to get past Christian Danner and Nigel Mansell. It's all full of unpredictable stuff.
Well, Murray, at this stage, I'd just settle for a couple of racing laps.
Well, we're going to get them, hopefully. He's like somebody with a stricken horse, actually. He's staying faithfully by his steed, refusing to leave. Well, I knew JCB made all sorts of peculiar devices. I never knew they made anything quite like that. Oh, and here is the safety car, and that does mean yet another lap. Well, the chips have fallen in just about the worst combination of circumstances for the two safety car appearances on the circuit. But we've now completed 20 laps. There are 4 more to go, including this one. So you weren't far off it, Alan. We're going to have 3 racing laps.
Well, I mean, 3 racing laps could be very interesting in itself, you know, because obviously the drivers are going to know there's only 3 laps to go, and this is it, make or break.
Yes. Okay, they're going for it, we hope. All close up together. We're back with that familiar figure of 8.9 seconds separating the first and the last on the track. The last is Patrick Tambay. The first continues to be Nigel Mansell. And he's bound to be a slightly worried man, knowing that he's got a very determined Christian Danner, who really does feel he's got something to prove. Now the safety car has got to emerge off the circuit at the entry to the pit lane.
There's the Mansell family. I was saying yesterday, Murray, that it's fantastic. I really do admire Nigel, the way the family gravitate around him. He hops out of the car, one of the boys wipes the visor, the daughter hands him the wet towel. I mean, it's just fantastic.
Now everybody backed up now. Mansell leading, Danner second, Cheever third.
Come on, Christian, don't let him romp away.
Nigel drops a gear.
Yeah, he's ready to go.
Yeah.
You listen to this.
Building up the speed. Listen to the revs. When the revs build, Nigel will be on his way. He's Christian Danner.
There he goes. There he goes.
Come on, Christian, go for it! And he's holding him. He's holding him better than Eddie Cheever did. And Eddie Cheever is in 3rd position. Nigel has not made the break this time that he made the first time. And Christian Danner closes up on braking. But of course, Nigel Mansell accelerates earlier. And down the start and finish 1,000 metres straight goes Nigel Mansell. Eddie Cheever is fighting to keep Pierluigi Martini behind him. Pierluigi Martini's got Van der Poel. He's closed right up. The Belgian is now up into 5th position. And we've got 3 laps to go, including the one that they are on. 3.4 mile laps. Just over 10 miles to go in the Grand Prix Masters event here at Doha.
Oh, someone went very wide there, Martini.
Yeah, it's Martini, and look, and it's Van der Poel. Wow, what a move. Look at them swarming about all over the circuit. Eric Van der Poel, first time in the Grand Prix Masters, and Derek Warwick moving up through the field. What it is, go at the end of the race, because Van der Poel is up into 2nd position. Danner is 3rd position. Danner is in 2nd place. Nigel Mansell still leads. And Eddie Cheever has been pushed down the field. Not literally pushed down the field.
Martini flustered himself then. He went wide, lost a couple of places, and now he's really got to settle down. Even though there's only 3 laps to go, he has really unsettled himself.
Well, Nigel's got a gap, and there's a big gap between Van der Poel and the battle behind him. So it's down to these 3 now. There's only 2 laps to go at the end of this one. And Eric Van der Poel is going to be fighting for 2nd position. I can't see him winning this race because Nigel Mansell has got clear air between himself and the battle for 2nd place. There's Mansell, there is Danner, there is Van der Poel, that is Cheever, followed by Martini. Derek Warwick is coming up through the field. And look at Warwick in the green and white car following Eddie Cheever, who is in 4th position. Derek Warwick is driving a fantastic race, and Fittipaldi has gone down 2 more places from 10th to 12th. 2 laps to go now. Derek Warwick is the man to watch at the moment. We're riding with him as he closes up on Eddie Cheever. The American will know that Nigel Mansell is there. He'll see it big in his mirrors. As subliminally, Derek Warwick sees those green and red lights flashing on his steering wheel to tell him when the best place and time is to change gear. You're riding the battle for 4th place with Derek Warwick and Eddie Cheever, and you can see ahead, there's Nigel Mansell. No, that's Cheever. Nigel Mansell on lap 23 out of 24 at Doha, leading Dana by just under 1 second, leading Van der Poel by just under 1.5 seconds. And Warwick was in 13th position after his spin. He's up into 5th place now. Look back over those words, outtake on the rear wing of Nigel Mansell's car, and you see Christian Dana's similar car but very different liveried one, with Van der Poel 3rd. That's Cheever. He's in 4th place. There's just 1 lap to go at the end of this one. Warwick. Can you see a change at the front at the end of this race, Alan?
Well, Van der Poel's the quickest guy on the circuit at the moment. Having said that, Derek Warwick is just posting a very, very quick first and second sector time.
And he's right on the tail of Eddie Cheever now. That's the green and white car of Derek Warwick. Tremendously determined now. We're into the last lap now. It's now or never as far as Warwick is concerned, and he's all over the back of Cheever's car. Mansell has just put up the fastest lap of the race. So he's had something in reserve, and Van der Poel in the yellow and mauve car is looking for a way past Christian Dana. They're in the 1st, 2nd and 3rd. It's a battle for 1st, 2nd and 3rd. It's a battle for 4th, 5th and 6th. Derek Warwick is the action man on the circuit most of all at the present moment. And we're in the closing stages of the last lap. And can Eric Van der Poel displace Christian Dana? Now, Dana in South Africa finished in 7th place. Provided he finishes this lap, he's going to be much higher than he was in the first race of the Grand Prix Masters event. But it looks as though, just as it was Nigel Mansell all the way in South Africa, it's going to be Nigel Mansell.
Van der Poel's having a go, Murray.
Indeed he is. Look at Van der Poel as Nigel Mansell extends the gap between himself and this battle. The Belgian, who is trying so hard to get a race at Spa for the Grand Prix Masters on the magnificent circuit there, is really underlining his capability, which we never saw in Formula One. Well, now Mansell is almost within sight of the last corner. Look at Van der Poel. I'm coming through on the right. No, you're not, says Dana. Last corner, last lap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 together. Mansell wins. Dana 2nd. Van der Poel 3rd. Eddie Cheever is 4th. In 5th place, just Derek Warwick, and then there's a gap to Pierluigi Martini, Jan Lammers. Stefan Johansson is in 8th position. René Arnoux is 9th. Riccardo Patrese finishes in 10th position. And Nigel Mansell has driven in the Grand Prix Masters Series twice. He started from pole position twice, and he's won them both. He is indeed the man to beat.
A great race by Derek Warwick too, Murray. I mean, at the end of the day, spinning like that, dropping down all those places and being able to come back up to 5th. It was a great drive.
Yes, sadly, one has to say that the race was marred to some extent by the time that was spent behind the safety car on account of the need to recover Eliseo Salazar's car, in the need to cover Andrea de Cesaris' car. But it was led from start to finish by pole position man Nigel Mansell. People have been saying to me here, who are you tipping for the race? And I've been saying, well, you have to say Nigel Mansell. With all his experience, the fact that he's a world... and the fact that he's a world champion. Well, the crowd have seen a lot of action, perhaps not as much as they would have liked due to the recovery car situation. But they've seen battles all through the field. They've seen Eric Van der Poel come through from that lowly starting position he had, 11th place, as we look at the replay of the finish there. to come up from 11th to 3rd is no mean achievement, and he's undoubtedly going to be taking part in the Grand Prix Masters event at Silverstone. And I'm expecting a big crowd there, Alan, because they'll be there not only to see the Grand Prix Masters and people like Emerson Fittipaldi, but in particular the man who's always had the British public by the throat like no other, Nigel Mansell, the winner here.
Well, you name any one of 4 or 5 countries that love this type of racing, and you would always put England at the top. I mean, the heritage, the amount of people that love their motorsport in England. What a better venue to have it at Silverstone. Nigel Mansell going in there, having won the first 2. It's just going to be fantastic.
So this is the equivalent of Parc Fermé, as Nigel Mansell, the winner. On his left, Christian Danner in 2nd position, and on his right, Eric van der Poel. Draw up to the start and finish line. And Amanda Stratton is very shortly, we hope, going to be able to talk to Nigel as a very worthy and I'm sure very contented winner. Christian Danner getting congratulations from his team, who didn't make such a bad call in deciding to reduce the downforce of his car. It's got him up into 2nd place.
Yep. Christian!
Yeah, they're very difficult to get out of, Murray. That thing that he's trying to remove is put there in case of a side impact to lessen the degree of impact from your helmet on the very hard, unforgiving carbon fibre body. And that is a spongy type thing, but it's got 2 bolts at the front of it, and it's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to get out while that's still in place.
You know, Christian Danner looks euphoric, and I'm sure he is euphoric, because that's Van der Poel, Eric van der Poel on the left. Great achievement by both of them. Neither of them were able to distinguish themselves in Grand Prix racing, primarily because the cars weren't good enough. But Amanda hopefully can talk to Nigel Mansell now.
Yes, I'm standing down here. It is an absolute scrum, as we expected. Nigel, first of all, congratulations, and 2 restarts. What pressure?
Yeah.
The second one was a
I caught everybody napping on the 2nd start. It was beautiful. And then unfortunately Andrea went off, so it brought in another safety car. But everyone's done a fantastic job, because in years gone past we would have carried on racing, but in this day and age you've got to put safety first. But I mean, everyone drove obviously a very hard and frantic race. I had my own problems with the car. I was a bit slow down the straight. But it was a great race. It really was. It was full of everything.
Well, we're full of admiration for your racecraft with those race starts, those starts. Christian, you got caught napping halfway through, didn't you?
Well, I mean, the first thing, the first restart, Eddie was asleep, and that really did the rest of it. The second restart, I was P2 again because I did him, so it was fine, but I was hoping, for a clear race, because once I overtook Eddie, I just had Nigel and I was catching up on him, so there was Andrea.
And quickly, a sentence in German.
Es hat sehr viel Spaß gemacht. Ich meine, wann hat man schon mal die Gelegenheit, mit Nigel Mansell Wheel-to-Wheel, Rad an Rad zu fahren? War ziemlich cool, muss ich sagen.
Now, finally, Eric, I mean, you have been our dark horse all weekend, starting from, I think it was 11th on the grid. How did you do that?
I don't know. I was in the traffic and I tried to avoid everything. There was gravel, there was everything. I crossed some cars and finally I passed a few. And then on the last restart, I was nearly 3rd. So fantastic. No, I beat one world champion. I need to beat the other one now. So I cannot wait the other race.
Now, I know you're trying very hard to get a race for us in Spa. Do you think a result like that might help?
I hope so. I really hope, because everybody here would like so much to go there. It's a fantastic track, fantastic series, and I want to beat my little brother.
Quickly in French.
Ok, ça a été vraiment une course extraordinaire parce que bon, malheureusement on a eu les pescars un peu trop longs. Mais ça s'est bien passé à travers le trafic. J'ai eu un peu de gravier dans tous les sens, des voitures que j'ai croisées. Mais finalement, quand j'ai vu le dernier restart où j'étais 3e, je dis on parce que l'équipe a fait une voiture parfaite pendant toute la semaine. Et voilà, je suis le plus heureux. Qu'est-ce que je peux espérer de mieux? J'ai battu un champion du monde. Il faut que je batte l'autre maintenant.
Thank you.
Unpredictable scenes then in Qatar. Drama off the track, but plenty on it too. Reaction and analysis coming up next. Welcome back to the GP Masters from Qatar, from the Losail International Circuit. The celebrations have begun in earnest, with the top three taking their places on the podium. Nigel Mansell, the 92 world champion in Formula 1, finishing in first spot. Dana started second. That's where he finished. Van der Poel started in 11th. He made his way up to finish third eventually. And Tony Jardine with me in the studio. What does it mean to the likes of Dana and Van der Poel to end up on the podium here?
Well, it's a huge achievement. You can see how pleased they are about that. If you put it into context, Christian Dana, the best he ever did in Grand Prix was a fourth place in the US GP in 1989. Eric Van der Poel never scored a point. And the highest he got was San Marino, 9th place in 1991. So I think for them to flank Nigel Mansell here, the world champion from 1992, is a very special moment for them. And given that Christian Dana now works in German television covering Grand Prix racing, and Eric Van der Poel, who has been a journeyman and has raced touring cars, Formula 3000, etc., it's a great moment for them. And hopefully this will give Van der Poel and Belgium a boost in their bid to have this race supporting the Belgian Grand Prix with the GP Masters. Let's
just talk a little bit more about that, because it is scheduled to take place, the next GP Masters Grand Prix, in Monza. That might not happen. It might well be Spa, mightn't it?
The issue with Monza is about noise. Now, they seem to have sorted out the local issue, because obviously it would affect the Grand Prix as well in September. I think there's about a 70% chance of that race happening with the GP Masters in Monza, which would be great for the calendar. But I think the one you and I are most looking forward to is Silverstone on the 13th of August, because that, you can't call it Silverstone when Mansell comes, it's Mansellstone. And when he comes home, the British crowd come to see their big hero, of course.
Nigel Mansell has won plenty of trophies over the years, but what does it mean to just keep accruing them? Because he is, isn't he?
Thing is, he is such a competitor and he keeps wanting to win. It was epitomised by that second safety car period, where he gave it the gun. He saw the safety car going away, gave it the gun, the others were all asleep, and away he went at a massive rate of knots. He wanted to win so badly. Even if you play a game of tennis with him, or a game of bowls, he has to win. That's how he is. And
true sportsman, never losing that competitive edge.
That's right.
Let's take a look back then, Tony, at the race action in some detail now. And in particular, let's focus first of all on Derek Warwick, because he took a spin pretty early on, which followed a sequence of events between himself and Pierluigi Martini, didn't it?
But you see, Mansell was so close early on. Mansell was having to snake and weave down the straight, trying to break the toe because the drivers behind were getting such a great slipstream. Now, this is the point where that's what happened, was inside, Martini slipped inside Derek Warwick. There you are, Pierluigi Martini, he was our dark horse. And Derek Warwick trying to block, or trying to get past Andrea de Cesaris, who was behind them, closing in on them. Martini, he kept trying to block every time. And of course, he was so quick, it was absolutely marvellous to watch. But this battle in the opening segment of the race, and then Derek, all of a sudden, here we go, and he was spinning out, fourth place, and he went down from 4th to 13th and came back to finish 5th, which was the same place he finished at in South Africa as well.
Yeah, quite phenomenal driving from him today. What about Eddie Cheever and Christian Dana as well? Because they had something of a set too, didn't they?
Well, they did. They really had a good one. And because Eddie Cheever was on a bit of a mission. Now, look at Eddie. Look at his helmet. He's looking across all the time at Christian Dana all the time. And he can't, he's just staying inside him and touching wheels actually there as they go into position number 1. But he's going on the inside of that, and he gets through and makes it, and he's gone onto the curb on the inside, and Cheever got past him, and the team were delighted with that. But it was a battle all the way, and it went down to the safety car till it came out afterwards as well.
And plenty of commitment shown there by Eddie Cheever as well, losing none of that either.
He hasn't lost any of that. He's going to race at Indianapolis later this year. He's already doing a series of IRL races to build up to his Indianapolis commitments as well. And he's a hard man of the track, and you saw the way he just stuck on the inside of Christian Dana. But then Dana got him afterwards when the safety car came in for the second time.
Wasn't the only little tussle involved in that race, because a bit of gamesmanship as well between Andrea de Cesaris and Pierluigi Martini. Just talk us through what happened here, Tony.
Well, I think what was happening is when they were behind the safety car, Pierluigi was getting too close to Andrea de Cesaris. And Andrea, you see there, had slipped off already, and that was when they came together after the restart. But he was gesturing to him. He said, OK, well, look, just go past. And as soon as the restart happened, that happened, because Martini was determined to get past him. And they actually touched wheels, and he pushed him off, Italian to Italian style.
Let's talk about Eric van der Poel, because a terrific race from him. And let's just explain what happened, because the safety car came out and Eric van der Poel, who was some way off the pace, made his move up into third spot. Let's just take a look at this.
Yeah, this was great. The reason being because Cheever was concentrating like mad, trying to keep Pierluigi Martini behind him, and opened up a huge gap for Eric van der Poel to go through. And still, Cheever was concentrating on that. Then Derek Warwick took advantage and slipped past Martini as well. So it was fabulous racing during this event.
Murray Walker mentioning that Eric van der Poel was the dark horse in that race. He was, wasn't he? Because he did come from nowhere.
Well, he was, and also because he's relatively inexperienced compared to the rest. And he had a flash in the pan first in one of the qualifying sessions during the weekend, and people thought, well, perhaps he can't sustain that. He doesn't have enough single-seater experience. But he showed what a great calibre of driver he is, because he's raced everything from sports cars. He has won Sebring 12 Hours as well. So he's got quite a deal of experience. But coming from so far back and gaining the pace, because he kept out of trouble. That's what he did. And he was seeing it all happen in front of him, keeping out of trouble and picking his way through. It was a tremendous performance from him.
Along with the positives came the negatives as well, and certainly there was a negative for Riccardo Patrese. He had all sorts of problems, didn't he? He came back on the track to just finish the race, but a disaster really for him, wasn't it?
Well, it was a great shame for Riccardo Patrese. 17 seasons he spent in Formula One. He was one of the stalwarts coming back into the Grand Prix Masters last year, and something like 256 races that he completed in Formula One, the most races ever competed by anybody, and he's raced for so many people, 6 events and so on. He will be bitterly disappointed. I think you and I were sort of pretty disappointed ourselves just watching from here in frustration when they had to change the sensor, when the car got too hot, and eventually went out and did a few laps. But he finished at 10th place in the end. He struggled home.
So plenty of drama in the 2006 GP Masters inaugural race. Let's just take you through it once more. Let's get the final thoughts of my studio guest, Tony Jardine, here in London. Nigel Mansell again taking the trophy. But from what you've seen today, how competitive a GP Masters Series can we expect over the next 4 races?
Well, I just think they're going to get stronger and stronger. because having watched the South African race, I thought, well, that was good. And getting all these drivers together, these veterans, masters, superstars as they are, I think the next race, whether it's Monza or whether it's Silverstone, is going to be stronger yet again. I think it was a great shame about the recovery, given that we were racing at a $58 million worth of circuit. The marshalling was good. It wasn't that, it was the recovery services which were so slow and slack. But apart from that, I think it's going to go from strength to strength, and I don't see why it shouldn't support selected Grand Prix in the future.
Plenty to look forward to then. Tony, thanks very much for your thoughts in the studio today. Let's just remind you, in fact, that the second GP Masters event, what we've been leading up to, June the 17th and 18th, it comes to you live from Monza in Italy. We certainly had it all in Qatar today. Scorching heat, safe...